welcome to the latest episode of the Give My Head podcast. I'm Tim McGarry, joined as usual by my comedy colleagues
Michael McDowell and Damon Quinn.
You're very welcome. If you haven't been before, where have you been? We are, as you know, the podcast that talks to politicians, actors, sports people, comedians, anybody who will talk to us, and we're very, very delighted because we have a superb guest today. But before I talk about our superb guest, a couple of things. First of all, I'm on tour with my stand-up show, The Height of Nonsense, Tim McGarry's Height of Nonsense, all over Northern Ireland. We've sold out the Lyric Theatre, but we've another Lyric Theatre coming up in August, so feel free to buy tickets for that. Just Google Tim McGarry's Height of Nonsense, give us a shout. And we're delighted to say that this podcast is sponsored by the wonderful Clifton Public House on the Cliftonville Road. It's one of the newest bars in North Belfast. It has stunning decor inside and out. It has live music 4 days a week, Monday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. It has an upstairs function room available for private hire. It has a restaurant opening in May, which will also be serving breakfast in the morning. And if you're a Cliftonville fan, and there might be some in this room today, Cliftonville Pre Match.
At least one.
£4.50 a pint. £4.50 a pint. You go into town, it's flipping £7 for a pint. £4.50 a pint for all ticket holders on home games. So that's the Clifton Park. The Clifton Park. Stop calling it the Clifton Park. It's not the Clifton Park.
It's the Clifton.
It's the
Clifton Public House
on the Cliftonville Road.
On the Cliftonville Road. I'm going to check it out because I've never been to it. So
you've never been?
I must check it out.
It is lovely.
Yeah.
They've done it up really, really nice. I've been there a few times with my son, who's a fanatical Cliftonville supporter, home and away. He goes before and after the games. It's perfect for a pint and the evening. And don't forget the stunning decor, live music, and upstairs function.
But you don't actually have to be a Cliftonville fan.
No, you do
get
not.
The 450.
Yes, Linfield fans are even
You
welcome.
don't have to declare allegiance to Clifton.
Everybody is welcome.
Yes.
Everybody is welcome in the Clifton Bar. Thank you very much for your sponsorship to the wonderful Clifton. And just a hint, why the Clifton Bar are sponsoring us is because we love Aisling, and Aisling is also involved in McInerney's, who are a sponsor of this podcast. But she said she heard we had a special guest on today. I said our special guest is Marissa Callaghan, footballing legend, Cliftonville and Northern Ireland football legend. And this Clifton Bar actually sponsor the Cliftonville ladies football team, don't they?
They do indeed, which is amazing. We need more sponsorship. It's great to have a bar like them sponsoring us. It's brilliant.
Welcome, Marissa.
Good to be here.
For those who don't know, I have to declare an interest. I'm interested in Cliftonville Football Club. of an association with it.
No, really?
Sorry. Marissa Callaghan, for those who don't know, for some reason don't know or don't even follow football, Marissa Callaghan would be described as a local legend. A legend of the game. Legend is sometimes overused. Sometimes people say somebody's a legend because they brought the Chinese home in time. But no, you are genuinely a legend of the local game. For Cliftonville, captain of Northern Ireland, and a kind of a trailblazer. Is that fair enough to say? Because you started playing football a long time before ladies were well known for starting playing football.
Yes, that's definitely true. I mean, there's no club. I grew up in West Belfast, Divis area. There was no
not
female
another
clubs.
Westie.
Another Westie.
Damon's a Westie. We've had
Another one.
We've
Another
had
one.
Westies back to back.
Plenty of them. Plenty of us.
You're so talented. See the West. We've had comedians, actors, politicians, all that.
Something in the water.
But listen, we didn't have any girls' football back in the day, so we wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't have.
No. So I ended up having to go to North. That's why most people think I'm from the North, because I'm now like a fixture there because of playing for the Reds so long. But no, when I was a kid, not many girls play football. You were a tomboy. You had to embrace it. And there was just plenty of playing football in the street. Where there was big. I lived in like a cul-de-sac right behind St Peter's Cathedral.
Right.
Lucky enough.
Know it well.
And there was loads of us all the same age. So we just used to go out and all the great like street games we used to play, the cribbies, the rounders, like manhunt, everything. But football was definitely one of the.
And what made you realise you were a footballer then? What got you into the football?
I was really sporty, so I would have played anything. And just, to be honest, when I was younger, Gaelic was obviously a big sport in the West. We had the davits and stuff. But my school, the females only played netball or camogie. So whenever I was in primary school, I played netball and camogie. And never really got an opportunity to play football in school or like Gaelic football or anything. And then my youth leader, Marty Foyle, he used to get us involved in like a 5-a-side tournament every year. It was only once a year.
Really?
It happened in Mayfield. A group of friends used to go and play against other kind of female clubs, and there was a club from North Belfast, Newington Girls, who was playing in it, and Mickey Smith, one of the coaches, asked for a couple of us to go over and join the team, and I suppose that opportunity was there. I took it. I remember the first time going up to the Valley Leisure Centre when it was the old pitches, and had my first training session with a proper football team. I was 13.
Had you any football in the family or anything?
My dad was a footballer.
Really?
He played for the Mac. Although during the Troubles he got shot, so he was only 15.
Right.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
He was actually coming home from a match, and he was a really good player.
Right.
Like Leeds and stuff was interested in him and
Leeds
stuff like
were
that.
interested in
Yeah,
him? Oh,
yeah.
wow. I'm a
He
Leeds
was
fan.
actually on the verge of getting a trial and stuff, but
Right.
he got shot, and that was kind of the end of his career.
When did he
Aye.
get shot? Sorry.
Yeah.
Is he all right, by the way?
But he's okay. He's just lost all the muscle in his legs and stuff.
Right.
Now, he
Right.
didn't lose his leg. He was lucky enough. But as a young 15-year-old, he spent a couple of years in hospital. And
Really?
yeah.
And
But they saved his leg.
What was the circumstances there? I mean, what was the...
Oh, that's a long story, that. I don't think
Right.
I have enough time for that. But basically, he was just a young kid coming out of a football match, and he was in
Right.
the wrong place, the wrong time. And
Right. It's like that
yeah,
in them
it
days,
was, it was actually happened in the Grosvenor Road.
Right.
Yeah, and that
Was this for Ireland or Ulster or Bridgestone? Who did?
knows? God only knows.
Oh,
I think
right.
it was a feud. Yeah, it was probably a feud, more like probably our own people.
Right. And he
He was just in the wrong place, the wrong time as a
Yeah.
young
he got
kid.
shot
yeah.
in the leg. Yeah?
Yeah.
And did you watch football? Were you like a football fan?
So my daddy was a big Celtic fan, so he would have brought us over to Parkhead, and that was my earliest memories of I suppose being a football fan. Went to a few Cliftonville matches with him, but supported United for a couple of years. Loved Ryan Giggs. He was left-footed, unbelievable player. So yeah, I was supported of just, I suppose, because my dad was a big Celtic fan.
Right. Because you're a young woman.
Yes.
You're
Youngster.
a young woman.
Yes.
Born in
Oh, I will,
1995.
okay, I'll agree with her. I don't
Yeah,
know
no,
about
no,
that.
you are, yeah.
Not young enough to be playing football anymore.
Well, no,
but
that's what I'm going to say. You had to finish your career there. You're 40 now.
40, turned
Am
40
I allowed
last
to say that?
September.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
you're
mean,
right to say that.
well, it's
Yeah.
kind of public knowledge. I mean, we can't
course
hide
it
it.
is, yeah.
We can't hide it.
No, we can't.
But yeah, but you were playing right up until this
So
season.
so I played right up to last year, and to be honest, physically I probably could have given myself another
Really?
couple of years. I didn't stop playing because physically I wasn't feeling it. It was more I just thought I was ready to stop because I want to be a manager or a coach. So I just thought, I want to end on a high. Now, we were unfortunate not to win the league. It came down to the very last game of the season. Nadine Cotwell absolutely broke our hearts by scoring the only goal. But I would hate to play and not be able to keep up with the young players. I'm really competitive, so it would have frustrated me. So I didn't want to play another year and then start to slow down and get frustrated. And I ended on a high. I thought I was ready. And I've definitely made the right decision because I'm in with the women now coaching and loving it.
You're really competitive, are you? You're up for
It's
a
the
fight.
redhead.
You're up for a
It's
scrap.
the
Oh, is that right?
redhead. I can't help it.
It's
Can't
funny
help
though,
it.
but the way when we used to watch football back in the day when I was a younger man, and every footballer had retired by 30. But very few played on. That seems to have completely changed now. Your players going on way
I
on.
think with the strength conditioning and the sports science and everything else, to be honest,
But those days you used to have a fag and a drink at half time. Like, you didn't-
when I was younger, we definitely done a lot of that when I was younger. Like because I joined Newington Girls and then we kind of amalgamated with Cliftonville. We became the Cliftonville women's team whenever I think it was the IFA started, the club licensing. They wanted the Irish League clubs to have a female section. So that's why we ended up, the whole Newington team went and we became Cliftonville ladies. But back then, you play football, it was socially, so we never got near solitude or anything. It was grass pitch and stuff at the time. So we would have played in Cherryvale. That would have been like where our matches were, or else up in Mollusk. But we were so close, like just a bunch of our full time were just so close, real good friends, and we had a cracking social life with football. It was you went to football a couple of days a week, and then at the weekend you spent the weekend in the bar partying, to be honest. And I loved those days, and that's what it was for. That's what football was about. It was the social aspect more than anything.
Well, that's it. It's important. It's important for
Yeah,
life. Team
yeah.
football, yeah.
I mean, we didn't even have an international team and stuff at the time when I was growing up. Now, don't get me wrong, as in a senior women's. Now, we had the youth, so once a year you would have went in, so under 15s, 17s and 19s level, you would have been in about 6 weeks before, had like a trial, got picked for the team, and then there would have been a tournament like once a year. And so, yeah, it was more like a social...
Denise Watson, ex-BBC presenter, sports presenter, massive advocate of women's sport.
Yes, she is, yeah.
Really is. And I know Denise, and she told her you were coming on. She said, "Oh, you're a pioneer. You really are." And because, I mean, how do you start though? I mean, you say you just were kicking a ball down the back of St. Peter's and stuff, but there's no outlet for girls at that time. Were you playing with boys then all the time?
Playing with boys, but I also had friends that were girls who loved football too. I mean, two of them went, my next door neighbours are twins. Two of them came with me over to Newington and they played for a couple of years and then just kind of fell away from it.
Right.
But we had there was a group of about 6 or 7 of us who were just really sporty. So we just got involved in everything. But I suppose my neighbours, Roseanne and Jeannie, their names are. But it was actually how I started to get into football. Was we moved the house into the cul-de-sac behind St. Peter's Cathedral from the flats. And her brothers and them were really big into the football, and that's all they done. So whenever I moved house, she was outside playing football, kicking the ball against the wall, and then kind of we sparked up that friendship, and then from then, it was basically the whole street was just footballers. Like we just loved to play, and there were some cracking players in our street too in terms of the fellas and. Roseanne's brother Kieran, he was the one who would have, taught you all the tricks and the keepy-ups, and so I got to play with a real top, like young, like male and female talent.
Were you in the flats?
The streets when I was younger.
Were in the flats, were they?
Yeah, well,
You
we were
probably don't remember
Albert
them.
Terrace.
When were the flats knocked down?
Late 80s.
Late 80s.
We were.
I know because I worked in Divis for the council.
Yeah.
Divis Community Centre. I used to work there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Class.
With Jerry Downs.
Yeah. Unreal.
Yeah.
Small world, isn't it?
So you were probably one of the children I seen running about.
Definitely was, because we had a
Grumpy old man shouting, "Get that ball away!"
The matches we used to play in front of it, and then they got that wee ramp, and that was the end of that.
I
But
probably
yes,
seen you running about because
I
I
was
was there
definitely
about
there.
1988, 89.
Well, I was born in 85,
85,
so
yeah.
I would have been
Yeah, come on, you're only
too
two.
young then. Yeah. But we didn't move round to the houses until I was like 7, I don't think 7 or 8 maybe. But yeah, and then you've got some Congall School up there, so we had a pitch there, and then we had a pitch outside the new Divis Community Centre that was built. Yeah, and then lots of places to play.
And Cliftonville, you've been lifelong with Cliftonville, haven't you? I mean, you never
Been
played
there,
for another
yeah.
team.
We never ever would have wanted to. There was a couple of years, probably.
That's the right answer. Never would have wanted to.
No, well, I never would have.
Real Madrid come calling. Man, yeah, sorry, no Cliftonville.
Well, true.
Oh,
true.
yeah.
But unfortunately, there was nothing like that back then. But we, so socially we played for a long time, and then we started to compete, started to win the championship, get into Premier League. We'd have kind of knocked back down to the championship again, but we were always like one of the top teams in that championship level. And then, I mean, it hasn't been that long. You're probably talking about 15, 16 years where we got to the Premier League and stayed there. We've stayed there consistently since that. And to be honest, we were always kind of like a mid-table team. And it hasn't been till the last kind of few years when we actually got a management team that came in during COVID that took over and just completely changed revamped the whole
And
club
in
in
those
terms
days,
of the
were
culture.
the club supportive of women's football, or was there a lot of, let the ladies have a wee game, daddy?
To be honest,
were you being patronised? Were you being supported? Were you being...
To be honest, we were almost like a separate identity, but I can't fully blame that on the club. It could have been our... We were still linked with the club, but kind of standalone, because we would have like got our own kits. We didn't have the same kits as the men's and stuff like all the small things. But I remember having the conversation with Gerard Lawler, and I went to him and I says, Gerard, like, can we get a kit? Can we get, and he was like, what do you mean? You just don't wear the same kit as us? So the club was kind of oblivious of what way we were running. And it wasn't until we actually sat down and said, like, listen, we don't have this, and had a conversation. That's whenever then the relationship with the club started to build in. But Gerard was brilliant, like, he was brilliant, but I suppose you could say that the club probably should have took a wee bit more of an interest, but at
Aye.
the same time, we kind of just
Right.
floated along and didn't really.
But Jared Lawler, ex-chairman of Cliftonville now,
Yeah.
head of the Northern Ireland Football League. Yeah, so he was chair. So he was.
He was chairman at the time, yeah.
Right.
And when we had that initial, whenever I remember going down to the Opera House and meeting him, and he was just like, yes, no problem. And anything we kind of asked for in that meeting, he was like, no problem, we can do that, we can do that. And then that was kind of the start of the relationship that was built within
Right.
the club. Now we've came a long way.
I was going to say,
since
it's come a
then.
long way
Yeah,
from those days.
massively. But post-COVID, I suppose maybe during COVID, Marty Douglas, you know Marty Douglas, do you?
Don't know Marty.
Well, he's a big club man. He's like the Cliftonville Ladies Academy like manager at the minute, but he used to manage us, but it was just him, and he had to do everything. And it came to a point where we were getting players that weren't like just not showing up to training, very limited numbers of training. And to be honest, we had a season where I remember at Solitude I was injured watching Crusaders beat us 8-0 at Solitude, and after that game it was mayhem in the changing room, like. Just mayhem, because it was like people weren't training, and I remember actually going off on one, and I got really upset because I was like, you just don't care about this club, like you're out there getting hammered by Crusaders, like if you don't want to be at this club, like just go, go. But anyway, we lost a few players.
Well, you lost the right ones then.
We lost the right ones. We didn't have a management team, and Cliftonville Ladies was very close to folding that
Right.
stage, and it wasn't until COVID hit and our reserve management team, so Brendy Lynch, John,
Yes, I know Brendan.
Marty, and all, they all come in and took over the women. And the reason why they come in and took, it was only kind of interim for a while because they were reserve team managers, but because the reserve team couldn't train, but we could train because we were seen as that professional end, because we were obviously playing in the full league. They come in as an interim to take over the girls, and then just stayed a long-term
Right.
fixture, and thankfully, because they completely changed the whole culture and
100%.
brought in like top players, and from then we've been so successful. So
Yeah.
it's been an interesting journey.
When did you get your first international break? When were you played what, 90 matches or something?
Yeah, 91. My first
That was
debut.
one out. Give us a break. Come on.
Listen, that one could have been a tough match against Netherlands when they hammered us 8-0 away. Yeah, 2010s whenever I made my debut against Scotland. Now the senior team was set up in 2004, but as I said before, at that time in 2004, it was very much social. I worked full time in Tony Roma's. I was studying part time in Jordanstown, and then football was kind of in between that. And yeah, my social life was really important to me back then.
Right,
So
yeah.
Northern
said it's
Ireland
not
wasn't
now.
really on the radar.
But you have a child now. Your
I
social
have a
life's
child
gone now.
that's
Yeah,
well gone. So yeah, it wasn't until 2010 where I made my debut. I remember going over to Scotland on the boat, and it was just like going over on the day, played Scotland, and then come home. And then I kind of drifted away for a wee while. And then the second time I came in, we went to Cyprus for 2 weeks. I remember Alfie Wiley phoning me up one day, and he says, Marissa, I'm really struggling to get a team, because it was 2 weeks, and obviously most of the players worked full time, so it was hard for them to get off. So he phoned me up, and it just so happened that I had 10 days annual leave left in my work. I was working for a company called Belfast Community Sport Development Network. I was working as a football coach, and he phoned me up and he says, I really need players, like, can you come to this trip? And I was like, great, I have 2 weeks off, let's go to Cyprus and lovely sunshine, play football. Honestly, I went over just oblivious to what I was about to walk into. We trained like twice a day. The players, the squad were I had so much respect and admiration for them. Every single player was fit as anything, and I was nowhere near the fitness that they were at. I probably went to my room and cried at least 5 times during them 2 weeks. It was so hard. And one of the games I played, I went onto the pitch and was on the pitch 5 minutes, rolled my ankle and had to come straight off. I was so embarrassed. It was horrendous. So anyway, after that, I kind of took a step back again for a couple of months, and then I've said this so many times, I sound like a broken down record, but it was a massive change in my life in terms of where I kind of went next, because Alfie O'Reilly in my job, I went over to the IFA offices in Windsor, and Alfie Wiley was there, who was the women's manager at the time, and he called me into his office, and he was like, basically giving me an ultimatum. He says, we're about to go into a World Cup qualifying campaign, and I want you in my team. He says, I was like 26 at the time. He says, if you don't take this opportunity now, then you're not going to get another one. Like you're 26. And I came away from that. I don't know. I just came away from that meeting just saying, like, I'm going to regret this if I don't. I always knew I was talented and I was good enough.
Tony Roma's.
I had to give up Tony Roma's and all the drinking and partying. But no, after our conversation, listen, I went to the training that Sunday and I never looked back. And it was then fully focused 100% on being the best player I could be.
Were you getting any money to do this? Is it
no,
completely...
all voluntary. And to be honest, I was really lucky to work where I was working at the time. The boss man at BCSDN company, Peter Shepherd, was absolutely amazing. He supported me so much, gave me my time off, and Alfie kind of had good links for him, so the communication was really good, so I was able to get the time off. But in terms of, you had to go on, use your annual leave. You never got paid for it.
So you never got paid for it, right? So if I'm a woman footballer, right, which I'm not, and I'm playing football for Northern Ireland, and I see the lads, and they're all fucking millionaires,
I know,
doing what I do. I know it's a different game, the women's game and the men's, but it's the same game and a different game. But at the same time, you're not going. Is it not annoying? Does it not do your head in?
I suppose because we almost came from having nothing.
Yeah.
So it's. I feel really lucky because I came from an era where there was hardly any girls playing, and then I reached the European Championship. Like there's no higher tournament to get to at the highest level than that, and we just kind of were on an uphill spiral during my career. So, now don't get me wrong, we still have a long way to go, but in terms of slowly but surely, the changes that we've made in the past kind of 10, 15 years is
changed dramatically. I mean, the whole thing with the Lionesses and all that and women's football, and there is money coming into it. I mean, I know
there's money coming into it, and it's nowhere near the same as the men. And
how long the Clifton Bar are giving you money?
Well, they are, yes.
They're sponsoring you. But no, it's still a struggle.
It's still in its infancy. Like the game's still in its infancy, but it's going the right way.
Right.
Maybe one day at Cliftonville. I think about Joe Gormley. Obviously, he's an absolute legend of the game, and I'm sure he's getting a hefty little paycheck at the end of each week, which he fully deserves.
Yeah.
And our men, obviously, they're not full time, so they train exactly how many the same amount of hours that we train. And Joe Gormley, I don't know what the men are paid, but I'd say he's probably one of the top boys who's on the top wages. But I would say it's night and day compared to what they're getting paid.
You never made a living out of football, did you?
Never. God, there'd be no.
Well, it's getting bigger and bigger, though, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
it's big in America, isn't it?
Yeah, if you look at other countries like the WSL in England, that's a whole nother level. Like they're getting there. They're filling the Emirates. They're filling the big stadiums.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea women there recently just announced that they'll be playing all their games, in the main stadium, like the Stamford Bridge next year. Arsenal already do that. So it's it's getting closer now. In terms of the wages, it's still nowhere near a Chelsea player, a female Chelsea player is nowhere near what a male Chelsea player, but. The more money comes into the women's game, then the
attendances keep going like that.
Yeah.
But America, as Damon was saying, America has been way ahead of the game, hasn't it, in terms of women's football?
Yeah, because I suppose it's a game all females play over there. So it's always been a female game. So if you're a young girl in America, the first sport you go into is football or soccer, as they call it.
Yeah,
soccer.
Yeah, we're here. We have to compete with so many sports.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We do. We have to compete. Rugby. You've got your hockey. You've got your Gaelic. camogie, netball, football.
I
There's
didn't
so
really
much.
know about it, about being big in America, but the only time I realised was in The Sopranos, when Tony Soprano's daughter plays in the soccer team. It's a big thing. Like,
It's a scholar. So whenever we were younger and we were going into our kind of student years, 18, 19, that was the big opportunity that you got, getting scholarships to America. And a lot of us went over on scholarships. So like as a student in America, there's so much money there for sports kids to go in and get their tuition paid in universities. But for us as sports people here, that was a big thing for if you got an opportunity to go and get a scholarship to America. Obviously, there was no professional leagues then, in England or Scotland or anywhere. Probably maybe in Europe, but the big move if you were a decent footballer was to get over to America to play in the uni team.
Is there still a bit of sexism? We're gentlemen of a certain age. When our day, you never heard of a woman footballer, a woman referee, a woman commentator. Oh, that's only recently the women.
Yeah, it's massive now. Yeah,
I remember it was a news thing that there was somebody was going to commentate a match of the day.
A
lady. What do ladies know about football? Is there still much of that? Of that, or is that kind of?
You've got social media. I mean, there's a lot of that.
Oh yeah. But any
media.
woman who comes on and talks about football, you get lads going, "Oh,
yes,
she knows."
I mean, and you're always going to have I don't think that'll ever change. People's social media hide behind their, they're hide behind and like to give off now and again. But even that, it's night and day now. Like you're seeing so many females commentating on match of the day, and even with the refereeing as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose working for the Irish FA, one of my focuses is making sure we grow the game, not only for young girls to come in and participate, but trying to get more females into the refereeing and administration, especially within clubs, because we don't have enough administrators within clubs leading it. We don't have enough females in committees. We don't have enough females anywhere in the game, really. So a big thing for us is to get more and more females in those boardrooms, on the pitches, referees, coaches. We want more female coaches. And just recently, FIFA actually put out a new rule. Now, UEFA done it last year, maybe the year before, but FIFA's put out a new rule that any country participating in FIFA tournaments have to have a female coach as part of their coaching team.
Right, okay.
So UEFA and FIFA has done that. So any international team, female international team has to have a female coach, head coach, assistant, whatever. So it just creates more pathways at the highest level, so we can start to get more top elite coaches in the game.
You're Marissa Callaghan, MBE.
You're an MBE.
How did that come up?
That was probably the biggest surprise of my life. To be honest, whenever that came through the door.
Who gave it to you? Please tell me it was somebody good, not Andrew.
It was Princess Anne, who was actually really nice. She was really nice.
Yes.
She was. And to be honest,
she's supposed to be.
I've heard she's
she
quite
was
nice,
lovely.
yes.
Yeah. She took her time to have a conversation where everyone had noticed. So she whenever I went up, it was all a bit. You have to curtsy, and how do you even curtsy?
Woman from
how do you
Davis
do this?
curtsying to the royal family.
Yeah, I think that was the most stressful thing that you had to do. Because but listen,
Where was it? In
Buckhouse, was it? Or?
No, it was
Windsor?
in Windsor. Sorry, it was Windsor.
Windsor.
And do you just get a letter saying, or do you get a letter saying you're going to get it?
No, you get a letter saying that you're going to get it, but not to tell anyone.
Right.
So it has to be a secret.
Right.
So the letter went to my mum's house, and she opened it, and as you do, and phoned me.
And told everybody?
And told everybody, basically, it was, she phoned me, and she was about this official letter, and, get home quick, and I was like, just open it. And so she opened it with my permission, to be fair.
With you, all right, okay.
And my brother was actually in the house at the time, so she was like, read that, and then got all, emotional, and
Right.
I was like, what's going on? So then I drove home to see what it was, and it's just basically telling you that you've, someone, and I don't know to this day who nominated me or where it came
I'd
from.
never accept an MBE. it's a knighthood or nothing.
You would. You would. But yes, I sold my soul according to some people.
Oh, well, I was going to say, did you get any? And because
But
you
I'm
know,
still standing. We're all good.
Aye,
Got a bit of stick.
I was up with Paddy Barnes, I think, got an MBE, and somebody had a go at him, you know, betraying the Republican.
Of course,
and he wrote back, "F you, I'm getting a free day out in London." It's just, you know, kind of the way.
Bit of stick, but not like all jokingly, like no, nothing serious, like nothing.
And you'd no
serious.
problem playing for Northern Ireland. Were you invited to play for the Republic of Ireland? Would you have any
No
issue with that? Have you any
invitations.
issue standing? Well, you're a lady from Divis. Any issue
Yeah.
standing for God Save the King? Or
I mean, I did get a bit of stick for that because obviously coming from West Belfast, you know it's not words that you're going to sing, you know, when the national anthem comes on. I mean, I play for Northern Ireland, as I said, 91 times, and I was I was proud as punch, and you know, was so proud to be in part of that squad and be in that squad and leading the squad.
Yeah.
And for me, when I suppose for me, I've spoken about this before. I think it's quite sad that Northern Ireland don't have their own anthem and flag. The only reason why is because it doesn't represent everyone in the country, and Northern Ireland's such an amazing place to be and live. And you know, we're people want to visit here. We have so much, you know, people coming here. You can see it in the Falls Road and the Shankill Road every day with the black taxi. You know, it's such an amazing part of the world, and I just think it's quite sad that as much as I'll never have that experience of standing, playing for my country and singing my country's national anthem. Do you know what that represents? Everyone.
That'd be a hard choice, though. What would you go for?
What would you go for? Who knows?
I
And
think
I'll
the
never.
theme tune to Give My Head Peace.
It would be a good one. That would be a
that
good
would
one.
work.
It'd be up tempo as
Well,
well.
yeah, he'd be up tempo, be fun. It would inspire you.
The funny
He
thing.
says and I say.
Flip by. But the weird thing in it at the minute, so my son is obviously grew up, you know, being around Northern Ireland with me and stuff, and
What age is your boy?
he's 6.
6. Right.
And he's starting to ask questions about the tricolour and the red hat and the Ulster, and he can't understand. You know, he keeps asking me questions about it in terms of like red hat and the Ulster is our flag and the God Save the King anthem, and I'm like, I find it really hard to have this conversation with him because I don't want him to grow up thinking he's one side or the other.
Yeah.
If you get me, but I want him to know his roots. So yeah, we've had some interesting conversations recently.
Well, people
around
say
that.
politics and sports should be separate, but it's impossible.
It's hard
You cannot
because
separate.
he's saying, why is there obviously the Easter is just why is there so many
Flags.
tricolours and flags around? I'm saying, you know, Easter eggs and stuff. I says that's the Irish flag, tricolour's the Irish flag. But that's not the Northern Ireland flag. And I was like, no, but we're Irish. You know, you have an Irish passport. We're Irish. You know, the tricolour represents Irish people in the island of Ireland, and then.
Tell him to
it's
sit down and
difficult
watch.
conversations.
Tell him to sit down and watch the long and the short of it, an Irish history
Yeah,
program.
I think
So there's 25
He's
episodes
very
that
inquisitive,
explain
so
about
it's-
Irish history
yeah, I
and
need to
the
find-
roots,
I need to
the
find something.
constitutional position of
Suppose
Northern Ireland.
that's a teacher's job. He's just a bit young for all that there. But,
Well, I mean, we remember the days of Mary Jones' great play Night in November, and the famous Northern Ireland Republic of Ireland match got very, very nasty. But the IFA have done an awful lot of work, and
they've done amazing work.
proven
Yeah.
the anthem is still a hangover that I don't know whether they'll ever get rid of it, or I doubt it, to be honest with
I
you.
mean, it means so much to the people who
Yes, it means
have
an
been
awful lot to some
Northern
people.
Ireland supporters, you know, and are Northern Ireland supporters, and you know that's their anthem and that's their flag, and you know that's.
But you never get any hassle for playing from either. Well, a bit
No,
of.
there's not much of that in the women's game. There really isn't much,
Yeah.
and I never ever like. From a young age, even back then, never got any stick. Anyone I ever spoke to, no matter where I was, like in work or where I was in the country, always respected the fact that you were a female who played football and play for Northern Ireland, and play for Cliftonville. Like I personally, I never got any And
But
he's
I mean,
sticking,
it's
I have
changed
to
so much.
say.
I mean, they used to play the anthem in the cinemas.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know when we graduated at Queen's, you remember?
That's right.
But you
Used to play at
actually
the end of television. Do you
Yeah.
remember when television stopped?
Television stopped, that's
At 11:30.
But when you were graduating, you were ready standing. You had to stand for a speech, and then they played the anthem. So you had to make a point of sitting down.
Yeah.
You know, if you didn't want to
Yeah.
stand for the anthem.
But I don't mind the anthem changing as long as it's not a god awful Ireland's call.
Yeah, I agree with that,
Yeah.
I couldn't bear that.
Like, I don't think it'll change. And, you know, like any... I know it's tough in the men's game at the minute because the men are losing some players to the Republic.
You're just not good enough to play for the Republic.
The Republic just didn't want to know us up here.
Is that, what's their team like? Are they behind us? Are they?
They're quality.
Are they good?
Yeah, really good. They actually went up in their rankings. I think they're 26th maybe in their rankings in terms of.
And it's too
Which
late
is
to change.
massive,
Too
and-
late to change it. Go back and play football and change allegiance.
No, would never do that. Would never do that. But yeah, it's an issue in the men's game at the minute. In the female game, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the rules? I mean, there are many times you know there's a thing about what's his name? Plays for Declan Rice, and he played for Ireland, but then he played for England in the end. I mean, how many times do you like to do that?
I think if you have a senior cap, you can't change over. But he must have played in the youth
Oh,
age.
is that what it was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Youth
So
team,
see, once you're capped, so if he had been capped for Ireland as a senior player,
Right,
he
you can't
wouldn't have
switch.
been able to switch. No.
So
I think-
you got to the Euros.
Got to the Euros.
Which was
which is
good fun.
was so like we Kenny Shields came in, took over as manager in 2019. To be honest, we were in conversation with the association because at that time there was a group of I suppose senior players who'd played, you know, came from kind of my era of the game, and some of them were in England, and England started to become more professional in the clubs, and some of our players were in those professional clubs.
Right.
And we, from 2004 right to 2019, Alfie Wiley was in charge of the senior women's team. But the game had built up so much. He was also in charge of the 19s, the under-17s, the under-16s, all our national performance centres. It was the County Excellence Programme at the time.
Yeah.
So he was literally in charge of everything to do with elite international football. So you can imagine he worked 24/7. I don't think there's anyone in this world that worked harder than him. He had so many players to look after. But at that stage, because our players was in these professional clubs, they were starting to question, this isn't the right environment. We should have, more. We're an international, we're a national team. So we started to open conversations up with the association, and one of the changes the association made was Alfie took over all from under 19 down, and then Kenny Shields came in to look after the seniors. So he was just specifically there to look after the senior women. And his job role started off part-time, and then it evolved into a full-time role. But whenever he came in, it was the start of the qualifying campaign. And we had Norway, we had Wales. So basically, in this, you have you're in the group stages, right? You're in a group. So we had Norway, Wales, who would have been the top two seeds, and then you have Belarus, Northern Ireland, Faroe Islands. So according to UEFA, we should have came fourth in that group. Lucky enough, we didn't. We came second and we qualified. But just the fact that we had that manager come in to just specifically look after the senior women just completely
I remember you
changed the whole
qualifying. Was that
landscape
Seaview,
for
wasn't
us.
it? Wasn't it Seaview?
There's Seaview, no fans because of COVID.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
there's something in that as well because it was COVID times. We were getting chartered flights to places as well because we had to. There was no other way to travel.
Yeah, okay.
Now we don't get that as a women's team. We don't get charter flights. We take the scenic route a lot of the time. But during that qualifying campaign, because of COVID, we got extra special attention. And I mean, it's not a coincidence that we done that well with those little extras.
Right.
Because instead of getting 2 flights to somewhere and it taking you for a day, you're getting a straight direct flight. But yeah, him taking over the senior team completely changed the landscape. And we went from being a team that 11 players behind the ball, try not to concede, try and keep the numbers down, to this team who hold on, we're playing it out from the back. We want to play a bit of football. We thought we could win the Euros. That's how much faith he put in us. So he completely changed our mindset from a team that couldn't score goals to a team that scored consistently.
Scored for fun.
Yeah, well,
9 you got.
Well, yeah, but that was over a span of
90
91 caps,
Oh,
so
well,
it
that's all
wasn't
right.
that much.
That's okay. Oh, that's all right. That's
Yeah,
9
but the most
international goals.
important, I scored 2 goals, right? One was against Portugal, and it was a mass. I thought that was a highlight in my career. It was way before, Kenny and that came in. And it was only a friendly, and we played them twice in 1 week. They beat us 1-0 the first match, and then the second match I scored to make it, and we beat them 1-0. And honest to God, whenever that goal went in, it was just amazing. So I thought that was going to be the highlight of my career, but wasn't I wrong? So the next goal I scored, which again was up there, one of the best moments, was against Ukraine in Seaview.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, and that was the one that
remember
kind of
that one.
helped get us to the Euros. It was some.
Yeah.
Some time.
Some people still criticise the women's game. Say, an under-14 boys team can beat a girls' team, and a women's team and all that. And you're going, yeah, well, you have a point, but it's a different sport. It's a different. Yeah. The thing that women have that I think is goalkeepers. They don't reduce the size of the nets. Women are smaller, and the goalkeepers
you
are
can see it
genuine. I mean, they're not taking the piss.
No, I totally agree. Like. We're never going to be as
You're never
tall.
going to have a 6-foot war man. You're not going to have Peter Schmeichel, and it's just difficult for us. So sometimes
there's a lot of goals.
Yes, that's one of the.
But we have the top. We got we just recently this year we signed Maddie Clifford from Crusaders, so she came to us, and she's the tallest woman I know.
Right.
She's in the nets for us at the minute. Doing amazing. It's great to have her. But yeah, she's probably the top. She's the tallest goalkeeper we have in Northern Ireland. But yeah, most of our keepers are small. We are small.
Well,
Small. We are pretty small.
Russian team in the Olympics, they had this woman who was about 7'2", and she played basketball.
Right.
So she didn't actually have to do anything with the net. She just threw it
there.
to her. She just dropped it in.
Yeah.
Did your partner play football?
Actually played a bit. She played a bit. She was very much the same. She was a netballer when she was at school.
Right.
Very sporty.
Right.
Never.
Right. You didn't meet her through football, or did you?
I kind of did. It met her. So I was coaching at the time, and I went up. She was actually working for Carmoney, so she was doing a wee bit of football for Carmoney. She was in nets. Again, she's tall, so maybe they went. She's tall. We'll put her in nets. She was playing a bit of football for Carmoney, and she was coaching the younger ones. And through work, I had to go and take the young Carmoney team just for a wee taster session. And she the very first time I met her was that day when I went up, and so it was our first interaction. I just thought she was one of the kids' parents, and then we just kept bumping into each other randomly.
And she has a name. It's Paula, is it?
Paula, yeah.
All right. Paula.
Yeah, Paula is her name. Yes.
Hi, Paula.
We just kept bumping into each other, and then I suppose
bumping into each other.
Bumping into each other.
And
then she started to come to Cliftonville games. Yes, her and her niece. And
true sign of love.
Funny enough, her niece met her wife. Her niece met her wife through being at a Northern Ireland match.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's all a small world, but I suppose we could say we met through football.
And does the wee lad play football, or we?
Loves it, obsessed. He plays for Cliftonville 2019.
Of course he does.
Of course he does, and he plays a bit of Gaelic, so he's playing for St Ennis. And yeah, he's at Solitude every day. He's with me. And
You'll meet him in the bar in a few years' time.
In the Clifton Bar. Yeah. We'll meet him in the Clifton Bar.
Clifton Public House.
What's your son's name?
Quinn.
Quinn. I've met him. Of course, I've met him a few times. Yeah. He's 6'9".
6'9". He's going to be tall as well.
Is he going to be? Is he any good?
And he wants to be a goalkeeper. This is the new thing.
He's tall. There you go.
Yeah, goalkeepers are weirdos, though, aren't they?
Yes. But I have to say, you can be whatever you want. But secretly inside him, say, please don't be a goalkeeper.
Why? What's wrong with goalkeepers?
Goalkeepers are weird. No, they are.
Why?
No, they're eccentric.
You get the blame when you let it in, and
Well, that's
you have to be mad to want to go in to a football net.
Yeah. But
I just see the ones that are good. It's just incredible. I mean, they are the absolute. I mean, I know because strikers get the glamour and stuff,
Yeah.
but I mean, they'll keep a team in any match.
Wasn't
They're amazing.
Albert Camus was a goalkeeper.
He wasn't.
Was it?
Yes.
And Carter
yes.
Lucia.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Pope was a goalkeeper.
Yes, Carl Chiva. Yep.
You see, weirdos.
Goalkeeper. Yeah.
Nobel Prize winning.
Nobel Prize.
Yeah, probably the most pressured position on the
Must
pitch,
be.
really.
Yeah,
when
but
you
it's a
think about it.
philosophical position, a goalkeeper, isn't
Yeah.
it? Like, you're
Yeah. You're part of the team, but you're separate from the
yes,
rest of
you're
the team.
part of the team, but you're on your own.
Yeah.
In a sense, you're in a lonely position, aren't you?
Yeah, and you make a mistake, then
You make
know,
a mistake and every-
it's- forward misses a shot. It's not too bad if
Yeah.
goalkeeper lets one in. It's
Yeah.
So it's,
I knew things had changed at Cliftonville when there was a female lines woman,
Right. Okay.
and they didn't abuse her for being a woman. Just
Oh, right, okay.
abused her for being shite. Which I thought, that's progress. And
That is
all
progress,
but it has
Yes.
changed. I think, I'm
Yeah.
joking slightly, as you
No,
know, but
it-
there
100%.
are more women referees and stuff like that. But the hangovers are kind of gone. But you're working for the IFA for, what's your job then? You develop.
so yeah, women's development officer. So work with clubs to grow the game in terms of the grassroots level. So we try and get more girls at that young age, kind of 5 to 8. So we have a program called the Disney Playmakers Program, which is in partnership with UEFA and Disney. So they give us all the resources, and we provide the resources then to the
Right.
club. So and then our
Disney and football, I don't think that mixes, does it?
oh, it's so
Princess
good.
dresses
Oh,
and
it's
football.
brilliant. it's such an amazing program, and they pump so much money into it in terms of what makes young females tick.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've come up with this.
It is amazing the amount of kids you see, young girls running around with the football kits, and they clearly
Oh,
it's not just
yeah.
football
it's
kids. Actually, they're
unbelievable,
obviously
yeah.
training and playing football.
Yeah, it's
brilliant.
unbelievable. Yeah, it's night and day. I mean, us qualifying for the Euros had a huge impact
I'm sure.
on that as well.
Yeah.
And I seen that, within my job role, because again I was in the grassroots game.
Yeah.
But the amount of young girls who started to play football off the back of the success of our team
Because I think
was
there's somewhere to
huge.
go. There's a ladder somewhere.
Yeah, and I mean, even like even to this day, like I'll go into a random garage somewhere, like, and someone will stop me. You're the footballer. You're
Yep.
the footballer. You're the footballer.
Yep.
And but that was because we qualified for the Euros. There was so much media attention and social media attention. Which was brilliant for the.
Brilliant.
You're an inspiration. Did you have to be interviewed by Stephen Watson? Did you?
Many times.
Many
A few
times. We had
times.
Stephen in here. Lovely fella.
He
He's a
is,
lovely. He's a
he
good
is. He's
supporter of that
brilliant. Yeah.
women's football as
Okay,
well.
it's brilliant. I done commentary for one of the Northern Ireland games. It was last year. So it was me, David Healy, Jim Magilton.
All right.
And
There's a good
Stephen
combination.
Watson, and it was fun. It was really fun. It was
Does
different.
David Healy know anything about football?
Oh, they're two gentlemen.
Oh, no, they
Jim
are.
and
They're
David,
both
they're-
in that very chair sometimes. Yeah. Marissa, we've run out of bloody time. That was nearly an hour, was it? No, 100% no. Listen, thank you for everything. We will look out for Quinn. Will he be playing for Cliftonville then in about 10 years' time? He will be making
We'll
you.
see.
And
We'll soon
being a
find
man
out.
and being a boy, he will make you £1 million a week.
Operation
when
Quinn Callaghan.
his ma was captain of Northern Ireland
that
and we're
stage,
earned
hopefully-
feck all.
Hopefully, we've got to take over Cliftonville's full time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll
So
see.
listen, the very best of luck
Yeah.
to you. Thank you
you.
very much for being
Thanks
on
for
the Give
having
My
me.
Head podcast. Thank you very much to our sponsor, Clifton Bar. Don't forget Clifton Bar.
definitely going to get Clifton
ridiculously
Bar.
low prices for football
Not Clifton
fans.
Park or
no, not
Clifton Bar.
the Clifton Bar. Ridiculously low prices, £4.50 a pint before a match. If you're going to get a ticket for the match, go and enjoy a pint in the Clifton. And they have music on. Thank you very much to the Clifton Bar. Thank you very much to the football legend that is Marissa Callaghan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.